Chosen one, you did not stumble upon this message. Heaven summoned you here. This is divine timing, not coincidence. The veil is thinning, and God is positioning his anointed ones at the threshold of a supernatural transfer. You are standing on holy ground, where faith becomes fuel and obedience opens the vaults of heaven. The shaking around you is not destruction, it is reallocation. The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. Proverbs 13:22. Chosen one, prepare your spirit, because what's about to be released will not just feed you, it will transform you. Chosen one, this moment is not coincidence, it's divine timing. Heaven scheduled this very second for your spirit to awaken. The air around you is shifting, and your soul can feel it. You're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you're being rewired. You've been walking through confusion and disappointment delay, but what looked like destruction was really divine preparation. Heaven has been setting the table for your next instruction. Chosen one, everything you've endured has brought you here, every loss, every lonely night, every unanswered prayer. It wasn't to break you, it was to make your spirit sensitive to what's coming. Because in the days ahead, not everything that shines will feed you. Some things will look good but poison your clarity. Some voices will sound true but carry distortion. Yet heaven has preserved something pure for those who will listen. You are one of them. The world has turned your plate into a battlefield. Food, media, habits, all of it designed to drain your spirit cloud, your discernment, and dull your inner fire. But God is revealing three sacred principles, simple, ancient, and supernatural. They are not about diet, they are about alignment. When your daily rhythm aligns with heaven, your life becomes a channel for miracles. The first is grounding. Just as rice steadies the body, you must anchor your soul in peace no matter what the world screams. Be still and remember, storms don't destroy what's rooted in truth. There was a season when my life was chaos, finances collapsing, people leaving prayers unanswered. But each morning I whispered, God, give me peace, not proof. And he did. Not with a miracle that made the news, but through quiet daily provision that never ran out. That's how heaven works. It doesn't shout, it sustains. The second is rebuilding. Beans rebuild the body's strength. Obedience rebuilds the spirit's foundation. You've been torn down because heaven intends to rebuild you stronger. Every trial stripped away what couldn't hold divine weight. God is not punishing you. He's making room for expansion. Like Joseph storing grain before the famine, you're being equipped for what others can't see yet. Don't despise the quiet season. That's where strength grows in secret. The third is illumination. Salmon carries oil that fires the mind. In the same way, heaven is igniting your discernment again. You will see through lies, recognize what's real, and sense what's holy. That mental fog, that spiritual numbness, that heaviness in prayer, it's lifting. The voice of God will become clear again. He's restoring the lamp of your understanding, because what's coming requires vision, not noise. Chosen one. I know how it feels to stare at your ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering if God still remembers your name. I've been there when faith felt heavy and silence felt endless. But I also know what it's like to see him move through the smallest details. The day I almost gave up, a stranger paid my bill and said, God told me you needed to know he still sees you. That wasn't random. That was confirmation. And today I'm here to give you yours. You are about to walk into a divine transfer, not just financial, but spiritual. A new clarity, a new rhythm, a new anointing. The chaos of this world will not touch you if you remain aligned. The table before you will become an altar. Every meal will be a declaration that says, I choose life, not convenience. I choose clarity, not confusion. What you consume, what you speak, what you believe, they are not small acts. They are contracts in the spirit. Heaven responds to obedience faster than it does to desperation. That's why this message found you now. You've been circling the maze long enough. The exit has appeared. 3 doors, grounding, rebuilding, illumination. Step through and the fog will lift. This is your Exodus moment. The same God who fed manna in the wilderness is preparing provision for your next chapter. You've felt the stirring in your chest. That's heaven confirming you're chosen for this time. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. When you choose obedience over fear, your life becomes the message. So right now, breathe. Place your hand over your heart. Whisper, I am ready. Because this is the moment heaven hands you the key. No more wandering, no more wondering, just clarity, strength, and holy fire. Chosen one, this is your turning point. Your next meal, your next prayer, your next word, they will carry power. This is not about survival anymore. This is about sacred dominion. You are chosen, and heaven is hungry to prove it. Chosen one, pause and listen, because what you're about to hear isn't just guidance. It's a divine command. That strange restlessness in your spirit, the sleepless nights, the sense that something unseen is shifting, it's not anxiety. It's alignment. Heaven is recalibrating your life. You're being called out of the world's rhythm of survival and into heaven's rhythm of sustenance. For too long, the world has tried to feed you imitation strength, fast pleasures, shallow comfort, artificial peace wrapped in shiny packaging. The enemy's greatest weapon isn't destruction, it's distraction. If he can keep you comfortable, he can keep you powerless. But heaven is cutting through the fog right now. This isn't a season to survive. It's a season to awaken and reclaim your altar, the sacred space of your daily life. Everything you consume physically, mentally, emotionally either builds or breaks your temple. You're not just flesh and bone. You're a living altar carrying the fire of God. And from the moment you were born, the world has been trying to contaminate that fire. But heaven says, take back your table, your kitchen, your home, your quiet space. These are not ordinary places. They're sanctuaries. Every meal you prepare, every blessing you speak, becomes a spiritual act of war. The food you choose isn't just nutrition, it's prophecy. When you eat with awareness, when you speak with intention, you declare to the unseen realm, I don't belong to the system of corruption. I belong to the covenant. That's why heaven revealed 3 sacred emblems, rice, beans, and salmon. They represent simplicity, strength, and light. They're not about diet, they're about discipline. God isn't asking you to complicate your life. He's inviting you to purify it. Simplicity is not weakness, it's spiritual precision. The less noise in your world, the clearer your spirit hears his voice. I remember when I nearly lost that clarity. My health was failing, my faith was fading, and I lived on convenience, fast food, fast decisions, fast exhaustion. But one night in the quiet, I heard a whisper, return to stillness. I didn't understand, but I obeyed. I cleaned my space, prepared a simple meal, prayed, and ate in silence. What followed wasn't just peace, it was revelation. Thoughts became clear, pain eased. And that night, for the first time in months, I slept without fear. Chosen one, heaven is calling you into that same stillness. You've been trying to hear God through the noise, but his voice lives in the quiet. When you cleanse your table, your mind clears. When you choose purity over convenience, your discernment sharpens. You begin to recognize what is light and what is poison. There's a reason Daniel refused the king's food. It wasn't about health, it was about holiness. He knew that what entered his body would shape his spirit. The same invitation stands before you now, to separate from what the world consumes and return to what heaven blesses. When you do, you'll notice the change. Your body will rest deeper. Your mind will grow sharper. The fatigue you thought was aging will fade. Your patience will return. And your prayers, they'll rise effortlessly, piercing the heavens again. Because when the temple is cleansed, the Spirit has room to dwell. And don't be surprised when your atmosphere shifts. Peace will fill your home. Children will sleep easier. Conversations will soften. Even your pets will sense the stillness. Because peace isn't passive, it's power. Chosen one, this next week is not a diet. It's a declaration. Every bite you bless is an act of alignment. Every small obedience is a key that unlocks bigger gates. Heaven moves through the simple. The world will call it superstition, but heaven calls it faith, and faith, when lived, quietly shakes realms. So tonight before you sleep, prepare one clean plate. Call it your covenant plate. Tomorrow, fill it only with what aligns with peace. As you eat, speak softly. This meal is holy. This body is a temple. This day is mine to serve the light. Then wait, because the moment you finish that prayer, something will shift. The air will feel lighter, the silence will feel alive, and heaven will begin to move. Chosen one. Heaven is preparing more than your body. It's preparing your entire life for what's next. The same way Elijah was fed by ravens in the wilderness, God is now feeding you with instruction, with guidance that will sustain you when the world around you begins to crumble. This season may feel heavy, but it's not punishment. You're being tuned, refined, and adjusted so that your spirit can operate on heaven's frequency. When everything else shakes, you will remain steady. The world is entering a famine of truth. There will be plenty of food, but very little nourishment. People will consume information, but lose wisdom, chase wealth, but miss peace and seek connection, but forget intimacy. That is why you are being called to live differently. You can no longer eat, think, or act like everyone else. What the world calls normal is often poison to the soul. You are being separated so that your spirit can stay awake. Heaven has preserved 3 principles for you: grounding, rebuilding, and illumination. And they are the keys to living above the chaos. Heaven's economy doesn't operate like the world's. When Joseph was in Egypt, he stored grain while everyone else celebrated. People thought he was strange, even paranoid. But when famine came, his obedience became the nation's survival. The same pattern applies to you. The shaking around you isn't meant to frighten you, it's meant to position you. While others are driven by fear, you will move with wisdom. While others hoard, you will prepare. Heaven transfers provision to those who are disciplined enough to carry it with purity. That is why God is cleansing your appetite, not just for food, but for everything that enters your life. You cannot receive divine wealth if your inner life is still cluttered. You cannot hold revelation if your spirit is distracted. Purity isn't about restriction, it's about readiness. The cleaner the vessel, the faster heaven can pour into it. Each act of discipline, even something as simple as eating with awareness, becomes a form of worship. Every time you choose simplicity, you make space for God to move. When you bless your meal, you're doing more than saying grace. You are creating an atmosphere. Words carry vibration, and when you speak blessing over your food, you release harmony into your home. I learned this firsthand during a difficult season when I could barely afford to eat. Some nights all I had was rice and water, but I treated it as holy. I prayed before every bite, and somehow I always felt full. Peace replaced worry. Ideas began to flow. People I hadn't heard from in years reached out to help. That's when I realized that heaven responds to gratitude faster than it responds to complaint. This is what heaven is asking of you now: small, consistent obedience. You don't have to perform or strive, just align. Every act of alignment opens a gate for divine flow. When your daily habits reflect faith instead of fear, spiritual authority increases. Angels move faster when your environment is in order. That's why this next phase of your life will require structure, not rigidity, but rhythm. You'll begin to notice patterns forming. Your mornings will start calmer. Your thoughts will feel clearer. Even your relationships will stabilize. Don't dismiss small beginnings. The enemy loves to convince people that holiness has to look dramatic, but it rarely does. God hides his power in ordinary moments. A glass of water can carry healing. A quiet walk can bring clarity. A simple meal can be a prophetic act. You're not just living, you're hosting the presence of God. The more intentional you become, the more visible his hand will be in your life. For the next 7 days, treat your routine as sacred. Every choice will echo spiritually. When you choose silence over complaint, heaven listens. When you choose patience over frustration, heaven writes it down. When you choose discipline over indulgence, heaven multiplies what you already have. This is how divine transfer begins, not with noise or striving, but with steady obedience. Tonight, as you prepare your next meal, don't rush. Lay your plate, breathe, and say quietly, "Lord, this table is yours. Let this food carry peace. Let my body become a temple for your purpose." As you do, something will shift, maybe not visibly, but certainly spiritually. The air will feel lighter, your heart calmer. You'll know heaven heard you. That's when you'll realize you were never waiting for a miracle. You were becoming one, chosen one. This next part of your journey is where revelation becomes routine. You've heard the message, you felt the call, but now you must live it. Many people feel the stirring of the Spirit and stop there. They wait for another sign, another confirmation, another miracle. But heaven is not waiting to prove itself. Heaven is waiting for your consistency. What comes next will not depend on how loudly you pray, but on how faithfully you apply what you already know. Your daily rhythm must now become your altar. Every morning before you touch your phone or scroll through the noise of the world, give heaven the first moments of your attention. Drink water, not coffee. Speak blessing, not worry. The simple act of starting your day with clarity rewires your nervous system and realigns your spirit. It tells heaven, I choose peace before panic. I choose presence before distraction. When you start your day this way, you become unavailable to confusion. Then open one psalm. Read it slowly like a meal, not like a checklist. The words of David were written to remind you that the same God who delivered him will also sustain you. Let those words feed your heart before the world tries to drain it. This isn't about religion, it's about rhythm. It's not about rules, it's about restoration. When you repeat this pattern daily, heaven begins to trust you with more revelation. After you eat, step outside for 5 minutes. Feel the air on your skin. Breathe. As you walk, speak the names of the people you love. Each step becomes a prayer. Each name becomes an offering. You're not exercising for fitness, you're activating intercession. Heaven honors motion. Every step made with faith becomes a statement. I'm still walking. I haven't quit. That's what makes you different from the rest. Others complain about the fog, but you're walking through it. Chosen one. The reason you felt isolated is because you are being trained in intimacy. The crowd can't go where you're going. God has been reducing your noise to increase your depth. Some people will fade away. Don't chase them. Some opportunities will disappear. Don't mourn them. Isolation is often the classroom of revelation. It's in the quiet that you'll start to hear what was always being said. Now, there's one more thing. Heaven requires accountability. No one can walk alone forever. Find one person, maybe a friend, maybe a family member, who also feels the same call. Invite them to walk with you in this sacred rhythm. You don't need to preach to them. Just agree on one thing to check in each day and ask, did you honor your altar today? That's it. Because when two people walk in agreement, heaven amplifies their strength. What feels small alone becomes powerful together. You'll start to notice that peace begins to linger longer. Conversations feel softer. You'll laugh again. The weight on your chest will start to lift. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The fog is clearing because you are no longer feeding it. You're feeding your faith instead. Remember, this transformation isn't an event, it's a rhythm. You won't feel fireworks every day. Some days will feel ordinary, but even the quiet days are holy. The same way a seed grows underground before it breaks the surface, your obedience is working behind the scenes. Heaven honors what it sees in private. Before you go to sleep each night, write one line in a notebook. Where did I feel God today? It doesn't have to be long. It could be something as simple as, He gave me peace while I washed the dishes. This single habit will train your eyes to recognize divine fingerprints in everyday life. Over time, you'll begin to see that God was never silent, He was subtle. Chosen one. Your home is becoming different. The spiritual temperature is changing. You may not see it yet, but the atmosphere is already responding. You'll feel more rested. You'll speak with more grace. The people around you will notice the change before you do. That's how transformation works. It starts invisible and ends undeniable. So don't stop. Keep the rhythm. Morning water, gentle blessing, quiet prayer, simple food, gratitude before sleep. Repeat it until it becomes your heartbeat. Because this is not just about your body or your plate. This is how heaven rebuilds your life. Chosen one, by now you're beginning to sense a shift. The fog that once felt heavy is lifting, and the peace you thought was lost is returning. This is not coincidence, this is confirmation. What you are experiencing is alignment, body, mind, and spirit moving in rhythm with heaven's timing. You are no longer reacting to the world, you're responding to divine order. And this chosen one is where transformation becomes visible. You may start noticing small miracles. Sleep feels deeper, thoughts arrive clearer. You feel prompted to speak life instead of fear. These aren't small details, they are signs that your inner temple is functioning again. When the spirit is given room, even ordinary actions carry supernatural weight. You are learning what it means to live prophetically, not by predicting the future, but by partnering with it. This is the hidden law of divine preparation. Obedience creates acceleration. Every time you follow heaven's rhythm, when you choose simplicity over chaos, stillness over distraction, gratitude over complaint, you move faster without forcing it. You're no longer chasing blessings. Blessings are locating you. What once took years will now unfold in weeks because your energy and your spirit are finally aligned. But there's another layer to this awakening. When your temple is restored, heaven doesn't just fill you, it flows through you. The peace that anchors you begins to affect everything around you. People will start feeling calmer in your presence without knowing why. Conversations that used to drain you will now open doors for healing. You've become a carrier of atmosphere, an environment of divine clarity. You no longer have to prove you're chosen. The evidence will speak for itself. Still, there's a truth you must hold on to. Comfort is the enemy of calling. The moment things begin to feel smooth, the temptation will come to relax, to slip back into old patterns. But chosen one, this isn't the time to settle. You didn't come this far just to be comfortable, you came to be consecrated. Every spiritual promotion requires sustained discipline. What you began as obedience must now continue as lifestyle. This is why heaven gave you a rhythm and not a ritual. Rituals become mechanical. Rhythms breathe life. The goal isn't perfection, it's presence. If you miss a day, don't drown in guilt. Return to stillness and begin again. Heaven isn't counting your failures, it's measuring your faithfulness. What matters most is consistency. Every day you return, even after stumbling, you strengthen your covenant. As you grow in this rhythm, you'll notice something sacred. Your prayers will begin to change. They'll sound less like desperation and more like partnership. You'll stop begging God to move and start asking Him how to move with Him. That's maturity. When you pray from clarity instead of chaos, heaven responds quickly. That's what it means to live under divine timing, not late, not early, but perfectly synchronized with the will of heaven. Chosen one, the days ahead will test what you've built. The world will shake again, economies, relationships, institutions, and fear will try to enter your heart. But remember this, those who have prepared their temple will stand. Those who learn to find peace in stillness will not be moved. The world may call it collapse, but for the chosen, it will be correction. What's being removed from your life isn't punishment, it's pruning. So as you move forward, hold on to this truth. Simplicity is not lack, it's mastery. The less you carry, the faster you move. Let go of the need to explain yourself to everyone. Let go of the urge to prove your worth. Heaven already validated you. Everything meant for you will recognize you on sight because you now carry heaven's frequency. When you sit at your table tomorrow, let that awareness fill the room. Don't rush, don't multitask, just breathe, eat, and acknowledge that you are participating in something sacred. This is what divine order feels like: calm, clear, effortless. You're not chasing miracles anymore. You're dining with them. The shift has begun, chosen one, and this time it's permanent. Chosen one. What you're walking into now is not a new season, it's a new dimension of awareness. The preparation is over. The cleansing has done its work. Heaven has tested your endurance, your patience, and your willingness to obey in small things. Now comes the stage where revelation turns into responsibility. You've proven you can listen. Now you must lead. This doesn't mean you suddenly become a preacher or a prophet. It means that your life itself becomes a message. When people watch how you respond to pressure, how you speak peace instead of panic, how you carry grace when others choose bitterness, they'll see what heaven looks like in human form. You become a mirror reflecting divine order in a chaotic world. In this next phase, God will start positioning you where your peace is needed most. The places that once rejected you may call for your help. The people who misunderstood you will begin to notice your stability. Don't let pride enter when this happens. You were not elevated for recognition. You were elevated for restoration. You are not being blessed so you can stand apart. You are being blessed so you can reach deeper. Every chosen one reaches a point where obedience must evolve into influence. Influence doesn't mean fame, it means impact. Your consistency will begin to inspire others without you even trying. That's what divine authority looks like. It's quiet, but it changes rooms. You won't have to shout. You'll simply show up and peace will follow you in. Be aware, though, the higher you rise, the subtler the attacks become. The enemy won't always come loudly anymore. He will come as distraction, comfort, convenience. He'll whisper, "You've done enough. Relax." But chosen one comfort is a slow poison. Stay awake. Stay humble. Stay anchored in the rhythm that brought you this far. The enemy can't stop your blessing, but he can make you misuse it. That's why you must protect your atmosphere. Guard your space like it's sacred ground, because it is. Keep your mornings pure. Don't start your day with bad news or social noise. Begin with stillness, with gratitude, with light. Guard your conversations. Words are containers, and not every word deserves to live in your house. Even one negative voice can pollute the peace you've built. You are not being antisocial, you're being strategic. Chosen one God is also preparing divine partnerships for you. You won't walk alone forever. The people meant for your next level will recognize your light, not your effort. They won't compete with you. They'll complement you. These are destiny connections, people who sharpen your purpose instead of draining your energy. But be patient. Not everyone who smiles is meant to stay. Wait for confirmation, not chemistry. Your finances too will begin to respond to this alignment. Don't be surprised when unexpected provision shows up. Checks in the mail, refunds, opportunities, even simple acts of favor. All of it is heaven's way of saying, you are in position. But remember, prosperity without purpose is just distraction. Every resource given to you carries an assignment. Ask God, what is this for, before you decide what to do with it. This is how the divine transfer sustains itself, through stewardship, not emotion. When God can trust you to use provision wisely, He'll keep sending it. You're not just receiving wealth, you're learning to manage glory. So walk gently, chosen one. You're not who you were a month ago. You're lighter, clearer, stronger. Don't rush to announce the change. Let your peace do the talking. Let your presence testify. And when someone asks, what happened to you, just smile and say, I stopped feeding the fog. I started feeding my faith. This is what divine maturity looks like: calm, power, quiet, certainty, steady obedience. Heaven is watching, smiling and saying that one finally understands. Chosen one, as heaven continues to shape your life, you'll begin to understand something few ever grasp. Peace is not passive. It's the most powerful spiritual currency on earth. When you learn to protect your peace, you protect your destiny. That's why every trial you faced before this point was designed to expose what disturbs your peace and what strengthens it. You've been trained in the art of spiritual stability, and now it's time to live from that foundation. This is where your discernment must mature. Not every opportunity that looks good is divine. Not every open door is from heaven. The enemy knows how to package distractions in attractive wrapping. That's why you must check everything against your peace. If something costs you your peace, it's too expensive, no matter how promising it looks. Peace is heaven's confirmation. Confusion is its warning sign. In this stage of alignment, you'll also notice an increase in spiritual sensitivity. Your dreams may become clearer, your intuition sharper, and your inner voice stronger. That's not imagination, that's calibration. The more purified your life becomes, the more easily heaven can communicate with you. But remember, revelation without responsibility becomes noise. You are not receiving insight just to know. You are receiving it to act. The divine flow always favors the doer. Chosen one. Your calling is not to live in isolation, but to carry illumination into dark places. You've been separated for a time not to stay hidden, but to return with light. When you walk into environments heavy with negativity, don't absorb them, transform them. Let your calm be your warfare. Let your patience be your sermon. You are not fighting people, you are shifting atmospheres. That's what a matured anointing does. It's important to understand that obedience is never wasted. Every act of surrender you've made, every moment you chose faith instead of fear, has created momentum in the spirit. Heaven measures obedience like seeds, and this is your harvest season. Things that were once delayed are being released. Connections that were once blocked are opening. The timing that once felt off is suddenly aligning. You're not lucky you're positioned. However, be careful not to romanticize breakthrough. Miracles aren't always loud. Sometimes they appear as peace after years of chaos, as a phone call that brings closure, or as new clarity in an old situation. The enemy wants you to miss what God is doing by making you crave drama. But maturity means celebrating quiet miracles, the ones that don't trend, but transform. Your next mission. Chosen one is to steward what heaven is entrusting to you. That means guarding your habits, managing your time, and staying disciplined. When divine favor starts multiplying, the temptation will be to coast. Don't. The oil on your life is sustained by daily devotion. Keep your rhythm alive, the morning water, the still prayer, the evening reflection. Those are not rituals, they are maintenance. Financially, opportunities may start to increase. Unexpected doors will open. People will want to collaborate, but don't rush. Ask, does this align with my peace and my purpose? If it doesn't, decline gracefully. When you say no from a place of peace, heaven will reward you with something better. And finally, never forget gratitude. The quickest way to lose momentum is to take grace for granted. Every night before you sleep, thank God for at least 3 things. Don't overthink it. Thank Him for strength, for food, for clarity, for the ability to feel His presence again. Gratitude multiplies grace. Chosen one. You've come a long way from where you started. You no longer crave noise. You've learned to live slow, listen deeply, and walk in sync with heaven's pace. That's mastery, not perfection, but alignment. The atmosphere around you is no longer shaping you. You're shaping it. And heaven smiles because the chosen one has finally learned how to walk in quiet power. Chosen one, this is where everything comes together. The training, the silence, the refining, the waiting. You've come through seasons that felt like endings only to realize they were preparations. Heaven has been shaping you quietly behind the curtain of what looked like delay. Every prayer you thought went unheard was actually being planted. Every unanswered question was part of a divine pattern. And now the pattern is revealing itself. The time of hiddenness is closing. You are stepping into the visible phase of your purpose. You've learned what few ever do, that power doesn't come from striving, it comes from stillness. The world taught you to run, but heaven taught you to rest. The world taught you to accumulate, but heaven taught you to align. The world taught you to fight, but heaven taught you to flow. That's why you no longer panic when things shift. You've seen too much divine timing to mistake change for chaos. When others see loss, you see realignment. When others feel fear, you feel formation. This is what it means to be chosen, not just blessed, but built. Built to withstand storms. Built to discern truth in the middle of deception. Built to carry revelation without losing humility. The shaking was never punishment, it was preparation. Every closed door was heaven's way of protecting your anointing from premature exposure. Every delay was designed to let your roots grow deep enough to sustain what's coming next. And now, chosen one, what's coming next will require everything you've learned. The divine transfer that's been whispered over your life, the shift in provision, power, and spiritual authority is already in motion. You may not see it all yet, but you can feel it. Conversations are changing. People are returning. Unexpected opportunities are appearing. You're walking into rooms that used to intimidate you and realizing you belong there. This is not coincidence. It's confirmation. You've aligned your altar, and now the altar is aligning your world. But this new level comes with responsibility. The influence that's beginning to form around your life isn't meant to make you visible. It's meant to make heaven tangible. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the calm that now follows you, these are sermons without words. You used to chase validation, but now you carry presence. You've moved from asking for signs to becoming one. That's what maturity looks like. And yes, the divine transfer includes provision. Financial doors will begin to open in ways that make no logical sense. But remember, this truth provision is never random. It's always relational. Heaven releases resources to those who can handle them with reverence. Don't measure your abundance by how much you can accumulate. Measure it by how much you can assign. When a blessing arrives, ask, Lord, what is this for? Every deposit has a purpose. Some are meant to sustain you. Others are meant to build something bigger than you. You've reached the stage where discernment must govern everything. Not every open door is yours. Not every connection is divine. The enemy has learned that if he can't stop you, he'll try to distract you. He'll send noise dressed as opportunity. So test everything by peace. Peace is heaven's confirmation. Confusion is its caution. If you have to force it, it's not from God. Chosen one, as you rise, people will notice. Some will admire, some will misunderstand. A few will even resent the favor on your life. Let them. You were never called to be understood. You were called to be effective. Stay humble, stay quiet. Let your results speak louder than your explanations. Humility is the shield that keeps favor pure. And be prepared, heaven will begin to send divine partnerships into your life. You've carried this journey alone for long enough. Now the right allies are being positioned. These will not be draining connections. They will be strategic ones, people who carry keys for doors you can't open alone. You won't have to perform or impress them. They'll recognize your spirit because it matches their assignment. Don't rush this process. Wait for confirmation, not chemistry. When the connection is divine, it will feel effortless. This next chapter is not about survival anymore. It's about stewardship. The same faith that carried you through scarcity will now be required in abundance. Prosperity is a test just as much as poverty ever was. If you stay grounded in gratitude, heaven will continue to multiply what you touch. But if pride enters, the flow will slow. That's why you must keep the rhythm: prayer before action, gratitude before planning, simplicity before expansion. Chosen one. There will be moments when the weight of this new assignment feels heavy. Don't confuse that with burden. Pressure is proof of purpose. Diamonds aren't made in silence, they're made under force. God isn't punishing you with pressure. He's trusting you with potential. Every new level of calling requires a new level of capacity. That's why He's been stretching you emotionally and spiritually. It's not to break you, it's to broaden you. And now, as heaven releases you into this next stage, remember what sustains you: the altar. Keep it pure. Keep it active. Keep it quiet. Every meal you bless, every day you start with gratitude, every night you end in reflection. Those small actions are what maintain the connection. The table that once symbolized survival has become your throne of peace. From that table, you will govern your atmosphere. Your story is no longer a story of endurance. It's a story of embodiment. You've become the message you once needed to hear. You are the living proof that obedience still works, that alignment still attracts miracles, that simplicity still carries power. You are the evidence that God still transforms ordinary lives into sacred instruments. So tonight, when you bow your head and whisper your final prayer, know this: heaven is not watching you with judgment. Heaven is watching with pride. The journey that began in confusion has ended in clarity. The one who once sought light has now become its reflection. Chosen one, you are not finished, you are finally ready. The fog has lifted, the storm has served its purpose. The oil on your life is fresh. Now step forward, not as the wounded, but as the warrior, not as the seeker, but as the sign. You are chosen, you are ready, and heaven is waiting for your next move. In a world where confusion spreads faster than truth, the chosen one stands at a crossroads between clarity and chaos. This prophetic message: God's chosen one, everything else is poison. In the days ahead, only these can save you reveals what heaven has preserved for those who can still hear the divine frequency. You are not here by accident. You are guided to this message because your spirit has been sensing the shift, the subtle trembling in the atmosphere, the uneasiness that visits your heart when the world tries to tell you everything is fine. Deep down, you know it's not. Your soul has been whispering that the time of comfort is over and the time of consecration has begun. This is not fear, it's divine awareness. The chosen ones can feel what others ignore. They hear the frequency of heaven even when the world is screaming its distractions. This message will open your eyes to something sacred that has been hidden in plain sight. You'll discover why so much of what surrounds you, the food you eat, the news you consume, the conversations you entertain, has been quietly poisoning your clarity and draining your spiritual fire. Yet within this fog, God has preserved a few pure things, the only ones that can save you, gifts that rebuild the temple within you, strengthen your discernment, and align you with heaven's rhythm. Chosen One. This video is more than guidance. It is a revelation of how to survive what's coming, not with fear, but with spiritual precision. You will learn how to recognize what feeds your soul and what destroys it. You will see that your daily choices are not random habits. They are altars. Every meal you bless, every word you speak, every moment you pause to listen. These are spiritual technologies that open or close the gates of heaven over your life. This is the age of false nourishment. What appears healthy to the eyes often carries death energy to the spirit. What appears convenient is often designed to numb divine consciousness. You've probably felt it, that heaviness after a meal, that brain fog that makes prayer feel distant, that fatigue that medicine can't explain. It's not just your body reacting, it's your spirit rejecting. Your system is rebelling against the poisons disguised as progress. In God's chosen one, everything else is poison. In the days ahead, only these can save you. You will see how God uses simplicity to protect his people. The same way he fed Elijah in the wilderness and sustained Daniel through Babylon, heaven is now calling the chosen ones to purify their lives. Not through extremes, but through obedience. Not through fear, but through faith. The path forward isn't complicated, it's sacred. And what God preserved for you isn't hidden in mystery, it's hidden in discipline. When the chaos rises, you won't need to run, you'll need to return. Back to peace, back to clarity, back to purity. The chosen one doesn't survive by following the world. They thrive by following instruction. In this video, you'll be reminded that spiritual survival doesn't come from knowing more, but from honoring what you already know. Heaven has always used small obedient acts to perform great deliverances. The same still applies today. This message will also remind you that your physical and spiritual worlds are not separate. What you allow into your body shapes the strength of your spirit. What you allow into your mind determines the sharpness of your discernment. And what you allow into your atmosphere determines the direction of your destiny. The chosen one must live differently, not out of superiority, but out of responsibility. You were designed to carry light in an age of counterfeit. Every moment of this message will draw you deeper into awareness. Awareness of what's really happening around you and, more importantly, what's happening within you. You will understand why you've been feeling disconnected from what used to satisfy you, why certain conversations feel heavier, why certain places feel toxic, and why your heart keeps calling you to quiet places. It's not isolation, it's invitation. Heaven is clearing the noise so that you can hear again. You will walk away from this message with a renewed sense of purpose. The chaos of the world will no longer intimidate you because you will recognize it as confirmation of the prophecy unfolding. The same storms that break others will build your clarity. The same systems that feed confusion will reveal truth to you. This is how the chosen one operates, with peace in the middle of panic, with stillness in the middle of shaking, and with faith in the middle of famine. The days ahead will test everyone, but those who walk in obedience will carry divine protection. This message will show you how to live prophetically, how to make daily decisions that act as spiritual shields, how to turn your table into an altar, and how to transform your ordinary routines into moments of revelation. You'll understand why obedience is not restriction, but reformation. God is teaching you to live slower, clearer, and holier, because your clarity will save not just you, but those connected to you. The world is speeding up, but heaven is slowing you down not to delay you, but to align you. This message will prepare you to live above the panic of the times, to step into your role as a stabilizer in a world spinning out of control. You'll realize that your awareness is not a curse, it's your calling. You see what others don't because you were chosen to lead when others lose their way. Chosen one. The words in this message are more than information, they are impartation. Every sentence carries an awakening frequency meant to reactivate your divine memory. You'll begin to remember who you are, why you've survived everything you did, and what you were always meant to carry. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand apart, to walk with wisdom when others wander. This is your divine reminder that obedience is protection and that purity is power. The voice of heaven is calling you back to the basics, back to truth, back to simplicity, back to spiritual order. Listen closely, chosen one. Everything else is poison in the days ahead. Only these will save you. Chosen one, as this message ends, remember, heaven has already begun to move on your behalf. You are standing in your Kairos moment, right where destiny and divine timing meet. Every delay was preparation, and now the release has begun. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, you are aligned. The same God who sustained you through darkness is now transferring strength, clarity, and provision into your hands. Stay faithful to the rhythm. Bless your table. Guard your peace. Every simple act of obedience keeps the flow of heaven open over your life. Go in peace, anointed one. The storm has passed. The promise is unfolding. You are chosen, you are ready, and your miracle is already in motion.